Ladies and gentlemen, the unusual artistry of Sid Krofft.
Wow. Do you know this is my 74th show? And I'm going to want to have a big shout out to my dear friend, Debbie Allen. Did you watch the Emmys last Sunday? Whoa. Debbie got the highest award ever, the Governor's Award, and then she got a second award for a movie that she did with Dolly Parton. Her speech, it just blew everybody away. We all cried with her, and Debbie, you are the queen. It's just incredible. I congratulate you. So, okay. Also, that night, there was an honor for Billy Hayes. And we lost Billy a couple of months ago. And next to her picture on the screen was my favorite character, Witchy Poo. And Witchy Poo was our star character that Billy did. And it came from a puppet show at the World's Fair in San Antonio that I created. And Billy, I love you so much. We all miss you. Okay, I'm going to dial back right now to 1930. Can you believe it that I'm sitting here talking about 1930? I was really there. And what were we all listening to? We didn't have television. We had radio where we could totally use our imagination, and the speakers in this little wooden box that we stared at, or you would close your eyes and listen to the #1 show. We couldn't wait. I don't remember what night it was on, but it was Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. And in I think it was 37 or 38, he introduced a brand new character, Mortimer Snerd, and just took the world by storm. Okay, but in 2007, maybe it was a couple of years before that, America's Got Talent came on the air, and wow, it's still a big smash hit. But in 2007, Terry Fator, he won, and he won the $1 million, $1 million. And of course, the world just fell in love. We just absolutely never saw anything like it. Terry is definitely like a 4-time threat, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But I want to introduce I'm an idol of Terry. He's my idol. I'm not an idol. Terry is my idol, and ladies and gentlemen, I just can't wait. Terry Fator, come on. I hope you're going to have a couple or one of your great friends with you. Terry, this is the first time I've seen your show, and I'm really actually pretty shy. I never go backstage. And of course, I saw you in Vegas because right after you won America's Got Talent, they built a theater for you. Hey, everybody out there, don't walk but run, because I got to tell you something. When you see Terry's show and he's still there selling out every single night, wow, what do you do with all those bucks you make, Terry?
I
Yeah.
actually do a lot of charity work, to be honest.
How cool.
I mostly, most of the money goes to charity, so.
How fabulous. I just can't, I couldn't wait for you to come on, and I really thank you so much, you know, that you're joining me today. And who's your little friend that's going to come up and wow, that's your,
Hello.
hi.
So nice to meet you, Sid.
Well, thank you, and it's great to meet you. And you know, when I said that you were both a 4-time threat, I'll tell you why. First of all, Terry, your mouth doesn't move at all, and your impersonations, they are unreal, because everybody that you do, I have worked with. I made a list, you know, of all your impersonations, and wow, they're just right on. Plus, on top of it all, you're an unreal singer, and your material's great, and we can't even see your Adam's apple move. How do you do that? Are you both from another planet?
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not. You're a puppet.
Oh, yeah, I'm a puppet.
Right. No, you know, honestly, I don't know how. I do know that I spend an awful lot of time practicing.
Actually, I do all the work.
That's true. He does all the work. But I spent many years practicing. My parents were janitors. They had a janitorial business when I was young. And so they would stick me and my brother and sister in a building, and we would have to clean the whole building. So I would listen to the radio and sing along without moving my lips. So that's how, and I just naturally was able to do impressions of singers.
Well,
Now
actually,
wait a
I'm
minute.
the one who does impressions of Sid.
Hey, wait a minute, Terry, what do you mean radio? You're not that old. I'm talking about, oh, you are?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm 56. So back in the
come
70s.
On. You're like a spring chicken. I'm 92. What are you talking about? Wow. No, we used to sit around, you know, in my introduction, I met, well, you know, I toured with Judy Garland. Of course, everybody out there, I hope, knows that I started as a puppeteer, self-taught. My family, they weren't janitors, but they, I don't know, I don't even think my dad was working at that time, you know, so I supported the family. And I started as a street performer with my little $3.95 puppet, selling Christmas cards. And my dad wouldn't get that puppet for me because he said, first of all, you're a boy and you want a dolly, you know. And so so I had to sell Christmas cards and make a nickel for every box of 100 that I sold. And then I became a street performer after I got my puppet. And when he saw I was making 50 cents a day, maybe some days 75 cents, then I supported the family, because that was a lot of money.
That's amazing.
But let me ask you something. You know, people, we see it all the time, Terry. People say, wow, if I could just win the lottery, $1 million. And they always ask them, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to maybe take my family on a cruise, you know, or I'm going to build a house for my mom, you know. And so $1 million, you guys. Wow. What did you do with it?
Well, you know, I invested it in my career. I actually bought some more professional puppets, and I hired professional comedy writers to help me write my material. So I really put the money to use. I did buy a house in the Dallas area. That was before I moved to Las Vegas. So
And you've been there like 15 years now,
I
right?
have, yes. I've been there since 2007. I started in Vegas and moved to Vegas in 2008. And so been there a
And
while.
am I right or wrong? Your theater was at the Mirage all these
Yes.
years, right? And just a few months ago,
Hmm.
you just moved over to New York, New York.
I did. Yeah. I was 11 years at the Mirage, and it was an
Wow.
unbelievable run. I had so much fun with it. And around 2019, the end of 2019, they came in and asked me. I still had 3 years left on my contract, and they said, "What do you think about moving to New York, New York? They really want you there." And I said, "That's my favorite casino in town is New York, New York." So I said, "Let's do it," you know. And they said, "You don't mind if we extend your contract, but move it over to the." I said, "No, I don't care where I play as long as I'm playing."
Of
And
course.
so I played in a temporary theater. We were supposed to move in 2020, and of course, COVID shut everything down. So I wasn't able to do that then. And then in March of 2021, I started in a temporary theater, and then we kind of built out a little showroom that is just absolutely incredible. I'm so happy with it, and that's where I'm playing now. That'll be my permanent place.
You're across the street from our great, great friend, David Copperfield.
David Copperfield,
Yeah.
yes,
And
love him.
and the reason that well, your name came up because wow, wait a minute, I'm so bad with names.
Steve.
Who Steve reached out to me,
Steve
and
XL.
Steve said that both of you were going to David's his museum, and if I could join you. And I said, whoa, now wait a minute. Can you talk Terry into being on my live? I've never met him. And oh, I know more about him than he knows about himself, you know? And oh, wow. And you immediately said, you know, that you would do it. And what a thrill. Hey, thank you so much. You know, we're talking about Willie Nelson, and oh my God, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, of course, was a real close friend of mine, and he loved puppetry, you know, and loved you, you know. I mean, we lost him. I've lost track of time.
He
Uh,
died. He died right. I mean, almost less than a month after I started at the Mirage in
at the Mirage.
2009. So that's amazing that you told me. I met his mother, I believe. She came to my show, and she told me that he loved my work. And I'm just so sad I didn't get a chance to meet him, because I think he would have absolutely loved
Oh,
watching, you know, coming out, and, you know, we could have put him in disguise and had him come to the show. It would have been fun.
oh, he would have been there, yeah, because puppetry, you know, he was so fascinated with it. And come on, you know, I'm talking about Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, and of course there were other ventriloquists that followed, but you know, Senior Wences blew me away. You
Yeah,
know,
me too.
and Paul Winchell. Oh my God! And Paul, I don't know if the audience knows out there all the inventions,
Hmm.
you know, that he created.
Yeah, he was
You know,
something.
yeah, and then you. But when you were on, was that the second or the third America's Got Talent? Wasn't it?
It was the second season.
Second. And when you came on, we never saw anything like that. You know, a ventriloquist with great material, and you love his puppet, his pal, actually. You know, and we don't like using the word puppet. It's his best friend. Well, of course, I was a puppet act. I didn't talk in my act. It was incredible music. As a matter of fact, bands and orchestras couldn't wait for me to return. They loved playing my music. So that was like my gimmick, you know. It sort of snow jobbed what was going on the stage, you know. But I always talked to my puppets because technically it was frightening for me every time I went on stage because
Wow.
it took me over an hour and a half to reset. I was like the banana man who could only do 2 shows a day because he had to load his coat, you know, with all that stuff. And you know, and how nervous, well, we all get nervous, but once we hit that stage and that audience gives us all that fuel, forget it. I
Hmm.
mean, you just, you know, you're in heaven. And with you, I got to tell you, 2 days ago, I told my dentist, my dentist that you were coming on, and he said, I'm going to Vegas. Do you think that you could get me a better seat? I said, well, I'll see what I can do. He said, that's the show. I've seen it, but that's the show. You know, there's like 3 shows in Vegas that everybody out there, when you go to Vegas, you've got to go see. Of course, Terry, and across the street, our friend David, and Donny Osmond just opened.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
and
saw that.
Donnie's coming on with me next week and the week after. And so, of course, we did the Donnie Marie show, and God, I've been around, huh? And back.
Well, man, I grew up watching your stuff. So when Steve, he says, do you know Sid Krofft? And I said, do I know? Are you kidding me? I mean, it was a staple of my childhood, your stuff, you know, Sigmund and the
Well,
Sea
thank you.
Monsters and Land of the Lost. And it was like, and Puffin stuff. And I actually have all that stuff on DVD, all the seasons of all.
Really? I
Yeah.
probably bought this shirt because you bought all that stuff. Do you think? You know, the first time I met David, you know, again, we all idolize that man because, you know, the viewers out there have heard this before, but I'm old and I can repeat things over and over again because that's what old people do. And I got to tell you something. That's Kelly. Kelly's my sidekick here and my producer of this show. Okay, so anyway, the first time I met David was on Zoom, right? And I've seen so many of his shows. I don't go back because I got to tell you a crazy story. I'm really shy, but when Cirque du Soleil came to America, I saw them in Canada because I have circus in my blood because I
Hmm.
travel with the Ring Ring Circus. You know, when it sat 15,000 people in the big top, you know, 1,800 people in the show. And so um, it was downtown LA. And not too many people went because they didn't know what it was. And then I brought everybody I knew on the planet because I just loved, you know, their creativity and what they did with a circus. And then they moved to Santa Monica, and then it just exploded.
Mm.
So on opening night in Santa Monica, I know Stallone, and he was alone at the opening, and there were a lot of stars there. And he said, have you ever met Guy? And I said, no. You know, I was born in Montreal, and I come from Canada. And I know he was a street performer. I think he was a fire eater or whatever on the street, something like that owned Cirque du Soleil and created it.
Wow.
And so Stone brought me over excited. Oh, he's going to love meeting you. And he brought me over to Guy, and he said, this is Sid Krofft. And Guy said, what do you do? And Stallone said, well, you know, didn't you grow up? Because we were in Canada. All our shows were in Canada. And he said, no, I never heard of you, and walked away. And there were a lot of people. So I
That's
thought,
funny.
oh, well, you know, it's fine. I mean, I wasn't hurt. We laughed about it. But, you know, I mean, everybody's not supposed to know who the hell you are or what you've
No.
done, you know?
Yeah, I always find it funny when people are like, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it. And I'm like, well, you don't have to be sorry, you know. But you know, it's funny. Typically, like I don't get recognized a lot. Like we'll be at Disney. I love to come to Disney. I go to Disneyland all the time. My wife and I. She was just telling me, hey, do you think we could maybe do a pop over to Disney in a couple of weeks? And I'm like,
No,
absolutely.
wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to jump in, and then you're coming to my house.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Do you live near there?
No, I live in Los Angeles,
Okay.
not in Orange County, but it'll be worth your trip. I'm
Oh,
not
right.
on an ego trip, but yeah, it's an experience. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
I'm
tell
sorry.
my,
I'm sorry.
no.
because-
And I was just saying
Yeah.
that we love to go to Disney, and people don't really bother me. I mean, I'll hear my name occasionally, but usually if someone recognizes me, they say, who is that? And they'll say, oh, he's the guy that the ventriloquist who won America's Got Talent, you know. And they're like, oh my God, and so they know. It's
Yeah.
just so it's good, but I don't. It doesn't offend me when people don't know who I am.
Well, because they're really, concentrating, or their mind is in the world of the puppet. And it's the puppet, and
Yeah.
and they're really not looking to see, does his mouth move? Not like Edgar Bergen, boy. His mouth moved like way open. And you know how I met him? I toured with Judy Garland, and we played the Greek Theater for 5 or 6 days. Nobody ever appears there. 2 days at the most.
Wow.
And then on Monday, we closed on a Sunday. Monday, she had a big party in her backyard. And of course, every star in Hollywood was there. And that's where I met him. And then when we did Les Poupées de Paris, our big puppet show, that 250 puppets, it took 3 months to install, and it was a huge production. I approached him to do Charlie McCarthy because Bridget Bardot, the prologue, the show opened with a 36-piece orchestra that came up, on an elevator, all puppets, of course.
Oh.
And then the girls, when I say girls, all the puppets, with their boobs out, because it was a French show. And you had to be 21 to see it. Came out of the ceiling, and then I had 2 side stages, and the side stage opened up, and Bridget Bardot, who did the voice, was in a bathtub, a bubble bath, and the phone rings, and it's Charlie McCarthy trying to get a date.
Oh my God.
So I have that recording that he did for us, and of course he came to opening night, and I called him, and there was, no hesitation. He didn't say, call my agent. How much am I going to get paid? Yeah. But we've been in this business, you have, a long time. I mean, it just didn't happen overnight.
No.
But, it's a staircase that we climb, isn't it?
It is.
And then all of a sudden, when you've got the talent that you have, you just know that one day, whatever it's going to be, and you were so smart to go on that show because it was almost like, I'm using the wrong word. It's not a put down for a professional act, but if you get rejected, it isn't good for your act. And it's really, hey, when I was a kid, there was Major Bowes, Amateur Hour. This is a format that's been done from the beginning of time.
For sure. But see, I didn't go on the show to win it. And I watched the first season. Somebody had mentioned it to me the first season. And I said, I don't know. It sounds a little like the Gong Show. I want to make sure, because they said there's going to be judges Xing you, blah, blah, blah. So I watched it and I said, oh no, that's very respectful of the artists and, the acts. So I said, sure, I'll go on it. So I arranged to audition, and never intended to win the thing. I figured I was playing county fairs. and I was playing schools. I was doing elementary schools and county fairs. And so my thinking was, I'll go on America's Got Talent. I'll get on 2, hopefully 3 if I'm really lucky episodes. Then I'll get voted off, and then I can raise my price, at elementary schools. So that was my big plan. And I just kept going through week after week after week. And the crazy thing is, my advice to people if they're going to go on the show is, don't ever hold back your best stuff, because you may not get a chance. You have to do your best thing first, because that's the thing that's going to get you through, hopefully. So I would, every week after week, I would pull out the absolute best that I had. And then when I got through, the pressure was on, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to top this? What am I going to do to top this next week? But a real professional, I'd been doing it at the time for 30 something years. Now I've been doing it 46 years, but over 30 years I'd been doing it. So I could, I knew how to top each week. I knew how to top what I had done just by hard work and ingenuity.
Well, Terry, I beat you out, because I've done it so far for 82 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
Wow.
I'm still here to talk about it. I still have I'm so grateful. I have my creative mind still working, and no, it's a great journey that we go on.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Kelly.
How old were you when you started working, and do you still have your first puppet?
I do. I started when I was 10 years old. I got
Me
my
too.
first puppet. I got my first puppet at a Sears. It was a little puppet called Willie Talk. And I actually tore the body apart, because it was just a little string that came out of the back of the neck. And I tore the body apart and built a body and put a stick in so that I could actually turn his head. And then I got one of my dad's costume jewelry rings, and I tied it to the thing so I could turn his head and make him talk. And I used that for a couple of years, and then I raised the money to buy my first semi-professional, and I got my real professional puppet, my first one, on my 18th birthday. And he's still in my act to this day. He's my cowboy puppet.
And, okay, so how did you raise your money? Because we've all heard Sid's story on how he raised the money for his puppet. And how much did it cost?
Well, my first semi-professional, I think, was $99, and I bought him from the North American Mayher Ventriloquist Studios, North American Association of Ventriloquists. Clinton Detweiler is making these. He was taking puppets that you could get for $30 and $40, and then he would paint them, and he would put a real wig on there, and he would give them moving eyes and moving eyebrows and everything. So that was my first semi-professional. And the story of Walter is Walter T. Airedale is, which is a little confusing because Jeff Dunham has a Walter too, but it's totally different characters. Yeah. Mine is a country singer, and the story is kind of interesting. My parents had called Chuck Jackson, who was a big puppet maker back in the 80s, when 83 as 80. I think she called him in like 1980 or 81. And we couldn't afford, we didn't have much money. And so we couldn't afford it. It was something like $1,500 or $2,000. And he said, I have this puppet that is a kind of a one-off, and I'm not really happy with him, but he has everything. He has winkers, blinkers, moving eyes, the whole thing. And he's a professional puppet. He's just not quite exactly as I want. And he's been sitting in my office for years. So I'll sell him to you. I think it was $300. And so my family kind of pooled their money together and bought him for my 18th birthday. And that puppet is unbelievable. He's still one of my favorite characters and one of the best characters in my act. So,
boy, that guy, after seeing you win $1 million and being in Vegas for 15 years, I'm sure he's saying, "Oh my God, I should have charged him $400, at least $400. I really blew it." Yeah. Oh my God. No, that has happened in my career too, because I didn't make just like, I don't think you made your puppets, right? No, I didn't either. Frank Paris made most of my puppets. And because I came from a background, they didn't know anything about show business at all, and didn't even thought it was a stupid thing that I was doing, playing with dolls. And that first puppet that I got, because my dad said, "You're a boy and you want a dolly." Well, that's the first puppet I bought. Her name was Dolly.
Oh, that's funny. And
Three.
you asked me, I do actually still have my original puppet, the very
Me
first
too.
one we talked, and I have it in a shadow box at the New York hotel. So it's in my dressing room. So
Oh, cool.
Why not out in a special,
we're
out in the lobby or
we're actually
whatever?
we're planning on doing
Yeah.
that. We're looking for a place for me to display it out in the
Oh,
showroom.
that
So
would be
so
incredible.
yep.
Yeah.
So
How,
we're
how did you know that you had this like special? How did you know that you could throw your voice? How did you do this? Like, this is crazy.
You know, it was one of those things where I was already a singer. I've been singing since I was like three years old. The impressions came very naturally. I didn't even really realize I was an impressionist. Just as if I heard a song, I could sing just like the person who was singing it. And I've been able to do that my whole life. And at 10, I kind of stumbled upon a book on ventriloquism at my school library. And I checked it out, and it looked like fun. Really, the reason it interested me is because every year I would do the school talent show, and I had already sang, and I did a magic show, and so I think I did a hypnotist show one time too. So I was always looking for things, and I thought, oh, there's no ventriloquists in our school, so I'll try to do ventriloquism, and I'll get a little puppet. So that was kind of it. And I really fell in love with the art form and with just being able to, it was fun being able to create this character that I was able to interact with. And I got to tell you, Edgar Bergen was, I think he was more influential for me than anyone. I love, of course, Sherry Lewis, Jimmy Nelson, Paul Winchell, Senior Winston. But the thing about Edgar Bergen was, I think his characters were they really came alive. They were real. You know, if you listen to those, it is indecipherable that it's one person doing Charlie and Mortimer. And so it's quite astounding. And that's where I learned the rapport with my characters. So yeah, you've seen my show. You know, it's like the characters come alive, and it's like I'm really talking to a real person. I totally learned that by studying Edgar Bergen.
Well, and the audience. It's the audience that just feels that they're real. You know,
Yes.
they know their names, and they know the voices that they can do. And it's just amazing to me, like all the characters that I created, you know, in most of our shows, like people remember detail more than we do, you know, about when they go to see something like your show, they go away with something. You know, it's just not a show. I mean, whoa, everything but the kitchen sink. I mean, you really give them an incredible hour and 15 or whatever you do your show, you know, and they love you. They just love you. And like I said earlier, anybody going to Vegas, that's the ticket. Yeah.
Thank you.
And you can just send me part of the admission. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm a good manager. You know. Yeah. No, it's great. It's just great.
Well, it's funny because my dad, his dream of me, he wanted me to be a preacher. And,
wow.
you know, I'm a very religious person, but I just never felt the calling to be a preacher. I always wanted to be an entertainer. So as I got older, I began to realize that I call myself an evangelist of joy. And my job is to bring joy to people wherever I am and whatever I'm doing. And that's what I feel like I'm doing. So I love that you said people leave with something. I hope they leave with a little bit of joy in their heart that I'm
No,
providing.
you've accomplished that 100%. You really have. And everybody that I have told that you're coming on, they're blown away, you know, with you. And it's great. And that's enough compliments for one day, okay? Yeah. And I love your compliments about my work.
Oh.
Wow. We just keep bouncing them back and forth. Yeah, no, it's really great. Let me ask you something, Terry. I don't know if I'm just imagining this. I know you do women too, like Pearl Bailey. Don't you do Pearl Bailey?
I don't. I do Etta James. In fact, I've got my little Emma puppet.
Oh, hello, Sid.
Oh, hi. Hey, it's great to see you. I love your hair.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's the new style.
It's great. You
So she's the one that will do. And you, what do you do?
I sing like Etta James.
Would you do it?
Okay. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over.
oh my God, cool. Hey, thank you. What a treat that was.
Thank you.
Do you, oh, I wanted to ask her if she
Oh,
had a hairdresser.
Yes, I
You
do.
do. Okay, okay,
A
okay,
Hollywood hairdresser.
okay. You can go now. No, but I mean, oh my God, you're David Bowie, and Sammy Davis. We've had them. They have worked in all of our shows, and in person, not
well,
just
there's a
their
backstory
voices.
with my David Bowie puppet. My dream, I had built or had Kevin. Oh my goodness, I'm Lovick. No, I'm sorry, not Kevin Lovick. Keith Lovick is
Keith, yeah,
Craig Lovick's son, and
yeah.
Keith Lovick. I'm getting him confused with Kevin Detweiler, but Keith Lovick. I hired him to do this Bing Crosby puppet because I wanted to do White Christmas in my show. In my Christmas show, I do a complete Christmas show every year. Starting the day after Thanksgiving, and it goes through New Year's here in my show in Vegas. And so I had done this thing, and so one of my favorite things was the David Bowie Bing Crosby, where they sing "Little Drummer Boy." So I had actually reached out to David Bowie's people, and I requested. I said, "Listen, I would really, really love it if David would come in and sing, and we could do a video of him singing Drummer Boy with my Bing
With your
Crosby
puppet.
puppet." And I heard back from his publicist, and his publicist told me that David was very interested in doing it, but that he was not well, and that when he got better, he would reach out and they would do it. And unfortunately, he passed away before he was able to. I didn't know he had cancer. I don't think anybody knew he had cancer.
No, and did you know how he started? I hope I'm right. He was a mime.
Really, it doesn't surprise me because
That's why, yeah, the
yeah, he
way
was
he
very,
moved.
very express. He had a lot of,
Yeah.
he was good at expressions. So that makes sense. So when he passed, and of course I was heartbroken because I really had this dream, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to create a David Bowie puppet, and that was also done by Keith Lovick. And so now I have like David Bowie and Bing Crosby on one on each hand, and they sing Little Drummer Boy together.
That is so
Wow.
cool.
Bing Crosby also recorded for Les Poupées Dupree. Frank Sinatra. Um, I worked with Louis Armstrong quite a few times. He used to call me Mensch, and I never knew what that meant until somebody told me. I guess it's. Do you know what Mensch means?
I do, yes.
Yeah, it means a good person or something
Yes.
like that.
Means you're a
Wow.
good guy. Means you're a good
I'm
person.
a good guy. Oh, good. So from Louis Armstrong, can you imagine?
That's
No, he was a trip. I loved working with him. We sort of became friends too.
That's awesome. Well, Sammy Davis's son came and saw me perform at New York here about 6 months ago, and he was just delighted when Sammy Davis Jr. came out and sang. He just
Well,
went
it's
crazy.
right on. It's every one of your voices is whoa. It's unreal,
Thank
and you don't even if you close your eyes too, in just listening to them. That's where you can really detect how perfect a voice is, and your Michael Jackson because he was a really good friend of mine. He came to my house many times. I went to Neverland. We went to Vegas because I introduced him to somebody that was going to buy the Desert Inn for him, and and we went to Vegas. It was closed at that time, so I got a lot of Michael Jackson stories.
Oh, that's wonderful.
No, I loved. Oh,
Yeah, and we played your Hallelujah too on Sid's Instagram, and it's so good.
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure a lot of your followers are watching today. I hope, and then maybe they will follow me
Maybe so.
because I'm like, it's a sickness. It really is. It's like every day I look to see. I started. Oh, it was Kelly that made me do this. After we got our star on the Walk of Fame and we came home, she said, "Oh my God, all the stories that you keep telling me, people have to hear them. Maybe, you know, it can help them in some way, your career." And because nobody realizes there's 28 years before Puff and stuff and all that other stuff, just like you. How
Yep.
many
Yep.
years before America's Got Talent? It's America's Got Talent that let the world know, whoa,
Yes.
this guy is special.
It was funny because right after America's Got Talent, and I suddenly I exploded into popularity, and then I became a headliner in Vegas within a month after winning the
I
show,
know it.
and I've been headlining there ever since. And some other person wrote a hit piece, and they were criticizing me, saying that I cheated my way to the top and that I didn't pay my dues. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I mean, 20 years banging it out there, in cheap hotel rooms, playing county
No,
fairs and schools. I'm sorry, but I didn't just pick up ventriloquism, a week before I went on America's Got Talent. I had literally been doing 3 to 5 shows a day for 20 years. Just, I had never had any national publicity. So it was kind of funny, though. It was like, wow, you have no idea what you're talking about. I
oh,
paid my
Terry, you know what? I hope they're listening. And I know you're religious, but I'm going to give them the finger. Because how dare they? No, there are people you don't know, critics that you don't know, that had a fight with their wife or who knows, they got off on the wrong side of the bed, because there are times when I go to the movies and I read what the critic has to say. I go, where the hell, what movie did you see? Or what
That's so true.
show did you see? Or, and then when you go see live theater and the mics break for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, that's all they talk about. I mean, that's a mechanical thing.
Mhm.
Don't rip the show apart, but that's been both our experiences, because there are times, hey, I got to tell you, there was a hotel in Vegas. I cannot remember the name. And the first time I played Vegas, there were just a handful of hotels. And I played at the Thunderbird. It was called the Thunderbird. I don't even know where. It was on the Strip, but I don't know who replaced it. New York, not New York. It was on the other side of the street. Yeah, because the Flamingo was in the middle of the desert, and it was all the hotels were owned by the mafia in
Yes.
those days. Yeah, they were all mafia, and that's why they all had booths, because the booths were for the
Yes.
mafia. Yeah,
Yep.
you couldn't get a booth to see a show. So anyway, in those days, I'm sure they still do it in Vegas. When a new show opens, they do a midnight show or a 1 o'clock show for all the performers on the Strip. They probably don't do that anymore.
They don't, but that's a really good idea. And I think actually, I've just started in my new
Do it.
showroom this month. No, in August or early August. So that's a really good idea. In fact, I think I'm going to talk to my manager about doing that.
Do it.
I think the entertainers would love that. I could do a show at like 11 o'clock. My show is well, of course, some people have 9 o'clock shows. So I think that's a really good idea, Sid.
You know why?
Manager
Harry,
that.
you know why? Pardon me for jumping in, but you can't shut me up. Okay, but you want to know why? Because it's the performers. When we were at the New York World's Fair, we were a huge flop, huge. Everybody was. And my brother said to me, what the hell are we going to do? We got such a big investment, because we were the number one at the uh, uh, Seattle World's Fair. I couldn't even get you in, and if you were my best friend, to my own show. It was so sold out. You all right? And we did 4 or 5 shows a day. Okay, so I I shut the show down. Nobody knew this. I took the soundtrack and put an applause and a laugh track to it. Speakers on the outside. I had maybe 30 some odd people in the show. I hired unemployment you could hire for $4 an hour in those days, or whatever it was. And I had a ton of people standing in line, but I had a big sign that said, sorry, this performance sold out. There was nobody in the theater, right? Plus, this is what I did. Talk about performers. I invited all the employees. There were 25,000 or whatever at the New York World's Fair to come on their breaks. They couldn't get in. So I did it for a whole solid week, because I travel with a carnival, and Gypsy Rose Lee and all those people. So I knew all those nasty tricks that circus and carnival did. And so,
Funny.
so I got to tell you, so when people ask the employees, there's so much to see. We're only here for one day. What should we see? And we say, oh, I don't know. If you can get a ticket for the puppet show, over in the Lake Amusement area, And then when we opened, boom, we were a big smash hit. So the entertainers in Las Vegas, they are asked by all their friends, and I'm talking, everybody's got hundreds of friends. What should we see? We're coming to Vegas. Terry Fator. You gotta see that show. No, God, there's something else I'm giving you. My price has gone up. Okay? It's gone up. What you were going to give me per ticket? Yeah, it just went up. No, all that works.
That's interesting, because what would really be cool is I'm seriously going to talk to my manager and my publicist here about doing that, because wouldn't it be cool if I could kind of restart that and get the other entertainers to do the exact same thing? Because I can't tell you how many people I want to see, but I can't, because I always work. So I'm always working. So it's just rare that I get a chance to. So if I did it and we could get most of the entertainers in town to come over and see it, maybe they'll do the same. And, on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night or whatever.
Yeah, no. It's a midnight show when they're all off. They just love it. And, when Les Poupées de Paris was there at the Hacienda for 2 years, and we did that, and Liberace, who I work with a lot, was at the Riviera, and his opening act was Barbara Streisand. And they wanted to fire her on opening night because they didn't like what she wore. And she was really pissed at the audience because they were eating dinner. And she turned her back on the audience and just did her whole act to the orchestra because they loved her, right? Well, she came to my midnight, and she remembers this too. And when the curtain went up and all the showgirls were coming down the staircases with their boobs out, she screamed out, "Oh my God, I can't see the joints," and she, from then on, became a huge, huge fan. As a matter of fact, Les Poupées de Paris, there was a song in it that Pearl Bailey sang. Sammy Kahn, Jimmy Van Heusen did the score for Les Poupées de Paris at the New York World's Fair. And it was Love is a Bore. And Barbara Streisand recorded that, and it's on her People album. It became a huge hit. And it came from a little puppet show. So come on, look at us. We're like puppeteers, and look at how we moved the world around a little bit, tiny
So
little bit.
true.
Me, you, oh my God, wow. I being there for 15 years. It's like I don't know how many years David Copperfield. He's been maybe 25 or more. And he works 7 days a week. And wow, it's like when I
He
told
does.
him, he's
Yeah.
watching. I think he's watching today
Oh,
because I
wonderful.
told him you were coming on. I love
Well, I
that
love him,
man.
of course. I mean,
Well,
David's amazing.
well, not only that, he's such a good person. And when you talk to creative people, I mean, that's the cherry on the cake in our
Mm.
business. You know, people
Hmm.
that understand what the hell you're saying and they contribute to your sentence or whatever or your thoughts. It's a killer. It's really a killer. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
wonderful.
Terry put her hand up. She thinks she's in school or something. Kelly.
Terry, what is your favorite act to perform?
Um, oh man, boy, that's a really
That's
good
a
question.
hard question.
You know, it is a hard question.
Yeah.
I think my favorite act to perform, I have this Elvis impersonator, Maynard Tompkins, who doesn't know any Elvis songs, and he's really fun to perform. Although recently my cowboy puppet, the one that I told you I got as an 18th birthday present, he's been coming out drunk lately, and that's really fun to have a drunk puppet
You know,
because
why do you give them booze? You're a religious man and you're giving them all that booze?
it's
Wow.
just it's just really fun to have him come out drunk. And I used to do it only on holidays. So like if it was St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
Walter would have been drinking. And then people were like, "Oh my gosh, we want to see drunk Walter. We want to see drunk Walter." So now it's a part of my act now regularly when he always comes out drunk. So that's really fun. I mean, I'm religious, but I'm not a stick in the mud. I'm not a person. You know, my show is a firm PG-13. So
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you do big family business too, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Les
Yes.
Poupées you had to be 21. That was the gimmick, you know. And
Wow.
at the New York World's Fair, the president of the fair, he wanted kids to go. So up until 5 o'clock, all the girls had to wear bras, right? And then at 5 o'clock, the bras came off, and and then it was for adults only. It wasn't dirty. Nothing was dirty in that show. It was like the Lido or the Folie Bergère, and with incredible effects and yeah.
Well, we've actually talked about possibly doing a late night, maybe starting at 10 or 11, where I do a 18 and older show. Because listen, I love to have the puppets do more naughty stuff. But I'm very proud to have a family show. And it's not I wouldn't do the show I do in Vegas at a church for sure. It's got some, I tap dance on the line, I don't go over the line. There's no
We have
swearing.
to.
Yeah,
Come
there's
on,
no
you're
swearing,
dealing.
but
Well,
you know,
first of all, when we all started, it was a different time.
yes.
Even little kids, turn on MTV or any of those, and you go, whoa, what little kids are watching that and
Mm.
listening to the words that they're saying. But kids, they grow up fast now. So we have to move with the times.
Yes.
We
Yes.
really do, and we do. And we're smart enough to do that. You know, you can't, back in the 40s. Yeah, it's great to tell those stories back in the 80s or the 60s, when we all smoked pot and, but those were times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And there's a place for that. There's a place for more adult, ventriloquists. And I'm certainly not offended by a show where somebody swears a lot. If it's funny, it's funny. So
yeah.
it's just, I'm very proud to be something you can bring your kids to. And, it's not, I'd like to do double entendre type adult jokes, but, it's certainly not a dirty show. Although I do have Vicky the Cougar, who is You know, she likes her men like she likes blackjack. Anything over 21 is a bust.
Do you know what my dad told me after he became my manager and everything? He told me something I never forgot. He said, don't drop your pants to get a laugh. That is not funny. And just to use 4-letter words, it's not funny. And to be as a success like you have given the world, and with no 4-letter words, you know, well, I mean, come on, we did all those kid shows too, you know, and plus Les Poupées de Paris. But there were no 4-letter words in it, you know. It was just the gimmick, and, you know, and nobody ever saw anything like that. And it's like your show, nobody ever saw a ventriloquist do all those things at the same time. Your Adam's apple doesn't even move. What is that? What is that?
It's funny. I have a voice doctor in Dallas who is just now retiring. I grew up in Dallas. He's just now retiring, and he did an interview with Rolling Stone, and they asked him who's the most, because he's the voice doctor to the stars. I mean, he does all the big stars, rock stars, opera stars, everything. And they said, what's the most unusual voice you've ever taken care of? And he said, without a doubt, Terry Fator. What he does is physically impossible. I can't figure out how he's able to make those tones through, you know, this much with his mouth closed, with only this much. And I honestly, I don't. It's just a gift I was born with. I can't. There's no answer. I don't know how I do it.
It's so clean. It's so clean. There isn't a muffle. You know,
thank you.
Yeah, there's always,
and that's again.
There's always a little muffle.
I think that's just something I was born with, because I'll hear other ventriloquists and there's a little bit of a muffle and everything, but for some reason, you know, when I talk without moving my lips, it sounds almost exactly like when I'm not moving my lips. So there's you know there's not that muffle. Exactly.
You're sure it's not a recording in the background?
Definitely not.
The little girl that was on America's Got Talent, the opera singer, 6 years old.
Yes.
I just knew that in her dress there was a speaker with, and needle dropped an opera singer. I mean, how could it? You know, it's like you're one of the wonders of the world.
Oh,
okay?
That's sweet. So,
okay.
You know, you mentioned that. Let me just say one thing. When I did my audition for America's Got Talent, when I was auditioning for the producers, they actually thought I had a tape recorder in the puppet. They didn't believe I was doing it. So they asked me to get right up to the table, and I got right up and I went, "Alas," and they went, "Oh my gosh, he really did this," you know. So they really thought that I had a tape recorder. So that's funny.
Simon went nuts. You know, I'll never forget that.
Yes.
Yeah, just nuts. Okay, you know what? They're going to turn us off in 2 minutes.
A whole hour has gone by. Where did that go?
This was so fast. I hope we get to do this again. I really would love to.
Oh, you will?
Oh, I absolutely will. I had a lot of fun. This is great.
No, this is great. It's just great. I love you coming on. And you know what? I got to tell you, next week is my 75th show. And 75 shows. I don't know how I did it. I swear, it scared me to death. I don't even have a piece of paper. I did put the names of the stars because I'm terrible with names. I've always been, you know, I need that lady behind the queen that tells her everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, just to give me everybody's name. Okay. But next week, I'm having David Copperfield. I'm having Debbie Allen. I'm having all in one show, Beverly D'Angelo. I'm having Paul Rubin. And oh my God, Paul Rubin.
That's amazing.
And I'm having Donny Osmond. All in one show, celebrating my 75th show. Is that cool? I mean,
is so cool.
Oh my God, I can't believe it that they're doing that for me.
So you were the opening act is what he's getting to.
You are my opening, Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to be watching for sure because I'm going to make a point of it because I want to see that. That's amazing.
God, I hope I can handle it.
You can handle it. I hope I can handle it.
Why is why is your hand up in the air? Like every time you put your hand up in the air, you're not gonna.
We'll say goodbye to Terry first.
We're gonna say goodbye to Terry, and then you want to say something.
Yes, maybe.
Kelly is just so pushy. Yeah. Everybody should have a Kelly. Everybody. She's unreal. Hey, Terry, thank you so much. And it's not Hollywood Bull. Please come and visit me when you let me know when you're coming. And yeah, you know,
we absolutely will.
All my food comes from my garden, and you know, don't expect hamburgers or anything like that. I'm not on that trip. It's all living food.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, when you're weird, you got to be weird all the way. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. And we're going to be talking. I'm going to call you, pick up the phone in about 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, you
bet. Just to thank you. Hey, thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you. This was such a pleasure. And let's do it again, seriously.
No, oh my God, definitely. Okay, Kelly, what did you want? What were you going to do?
Okay. Oh,
why is my face so red? And
I don't know. Why is your face so red?
Yeah, what and shiny?
Well, I was trying to get rid of the shininess. It was not working. We need a makeup artist.
We do.
I hit you with a powder puff.
Yeah. Okay. Why is your hand up like you're in school?
Well, you know, I know it. Well, one, it was trying to make sure we had time so that we don't want to lose this.
Okay, hurry up. It's 4:01.
Okay. Big question of the week that everybody's been asking is if Sundays with Sid is in competition with other shows, to which no, hell no, Sid and I, this Sundays with Sid is not in competition with other shows. In fact, Sid and I both watch other shows throughout the week. So Sundays with Sid is not the only thing out there. So Sid and I wanted to share some of our favorites with you. We did, but we're going to go backwards.
Where is she going with
Yeah,
this?
right. Saturday, we watched Celine Lana with her Dr. Newman's Doomsday Bunker workout class and sing-along. So if you have missed that, do not miss it, because Saturday's Dr. Newman's Doomsday Bunker workout class and sing-along is fantastic. And every so often, Debbie Allen actually does a weekend of fun where she has.
Oh, I love.
She has.
Debbie's coming on next week too.
She is.
Oh, I missed that. Debbie's coming. Debbie Allen.
You did say Debbie, but it's okay. But yes, she does a Saturday
Debbie
show
Allen.
too.
Debbie Allen is.
Yes.
Yes.
Then Fridays for Future. That one's a good one to watch. Thursdays, Thursdays is open. So if anybody can come up with the Thursdays with I don't even know, Tinkerbell, something. Thursdays with something. Come up with it. We'll watch it. Wednesdays with Wednesday. That's a good one. Tuesdays with Maury. Not just the book. There's a little puppy dog. It's super cute. And now Mondays. Mondays we watch Mondays with Mindy. So Mondays with Mindy is absolutely fabulous. She has lots of guest stars.
I think Kelly has totally lost her mind. Totally.
I have already lost my
Kelly,
mind.
I don't know. You need some help.
Oh, wait. Is there a different show that I missed? Did I miss another show?
No, you've lost your mind.
Okay.
Hey,
just
listen,
making sure
everybody,
I
real quick. All those people are coming on next week. Please support us. And we're going to have a blast. And I'll see you next week. Sunday with Sid. Yeah. It's going to be Sunday, so keep your Sundays open. Don't go watch somebody else.
3 p.m. Pacific time.
We're having can you imagine 5 stars on in one show?
I'm so excited. This is going to be so exciting.
Wow. Okay, love all of you. Thank you for tuning in. What a blast today was, wasn't it?
Oh, he's so fun.
I loved him. And we learned so much about ventriloquism. So, after I leave, practice. I will. Okay. See you next week. Next week. 3:00
Pacific, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern.
Love you for tuning in. Hope you stuck with me.